Oh yeah, we back. So listen, um, I thought this was interesting interview. We got shout out to my man's. He sat down with an interview with Brandon Tatum. Elliott Connie is his name. He's I think he's a psychologist, and he's been doing a lot of analyzing on the case. But I thought this was interesting because as much as we get to hear about Brandon Tatum, you never like we ain't finna go to his content to find out his origin story. So he kind of divulges a lot of information right here that I thought was interesting. I'm Jay Lava. I scour the internet so that you don't have to, and I brought you this dope interview. So we're gonna get right into it just to see, what your boys be talking about. Let's not waste no time.
Anything else, I want to say thank you guys so much for being here and supporting me and supporting my platform, my mission, and my purpose.
Right.
We have a cool conversation scheduled for today, something I've been looking forward to doing for a good while, and it's gonna be cool. We're gonna have a good talk and hopefully get some things out in the open in a way that is positive and productive. But before we get to that, I need everybody to do me a favor. One of the best ways you can support people like myself is to simply subscribe. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the follow button. Like this video, like this video, like this video. It doesn't cost you a single thing, but means the absolute world to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, today's guest is former police officer Brandon Tatum, currently one of the leading voices in the right wing movement here in America. And he has been controversial at times, but I think it's time to have a very appropriate conversation. So, everybody, let's welcome Mr. Brandon Tatum. How you doing, Mr. Tatum?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. I appreciate you being here, man. Um, so, I'd like to get started by asking about your origin of how you started developing conservative ideas.
Yeah, I think that's a good starting point. I grew
Excellent.
up in an all black neighborhood. I grew up around people who believed the Democrat Party was the only party sustainable for the black community. It wasn't until I got saved in 2008 that I started to open my mind more. And when I became a police officer, that's when I became more conservative, looking at the policy positions of the Democrat Party and realizing, well, wait a minute, I don't agree with any of these policy positions. Standing for what's right when it comes to God, standing for secure borders, standing for you name it. What the Republican platform is all about, lean more towards what I believed. Ben Carson was one of the leading voices that I felt I identified with the most.
Oh, so you came up idolizing Coons. That's rare. I didn't know anybody really idolized the Coons, but go on.
And it really opened my eyes to realizing that I'm more of a Republican, I'm more of a conservative than I am considered a Democrat or a liberal. And then when I looked at the historical context of the Democrat Party, that also inspired me to realize that I don't even know why black people ever support the Democrat Party.
And let's be clear, I'm not affiliated with any political party. I can give a damn about the Democrats or the Republicans. F them both. Um, and because you're a Republican doesn't make you a coon. Because there's some stomp down Republicans that be on black empowerment. But I think it's interesting that he would say somebody of that name.
When you look at the history of it, the history back in slavery, the non-support or the fickle support of black people, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, you go to the Civil Rights Movement, you name it. I feel like the Democrat Party has not been sufficient for black people.
When and you said you grew up in a predominantly black area, and if I'm not mistaken, that's the Fort Worth Stop Six area, correct?
Well, I grew up in multiple areas. I went to school at Dunbar High School, Paul Laurence
Yeah.
Dunbar, named after the famous black poet Paul Laurence Dunbar. But I went to
Yeah.
Paul Laurence Dunbar High School, which was right in Stop Six. We lived in Eastwood, which was down the street with my grandma for a couple years. And it wasn't that we needed to; we had to. My daddy was in my life. My mama was good. Like we weren't poor or anything. It just so happened that we lived in those areas. One reason I went to Dunbar was because we wanted to excel in sports, and so we ended up transferring from Crowley to Dunbar. So yeah, I was living in a lot of different areas, man. We lived in middle class areas, we lived in poor areas. I had a very diverse upbringing.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I went to college not too far away from there, Texas Wesleyan University.
Oh yeah, yeah. I looked
That's
you up, man. So
that's that's very
yeah,
close to where you are.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so before this 2008 that you were just referring to, would you have identified as a Democrat before that?
Yeah, I identified as a Democrat, but I wasn't really into politics. It's just growing up black, you're a Democrat. And Republicans are racist white people. That's what was, internalized in me as I was growing up. And so that's how I felt. But man, I didn't vote. I wasn't really involved as much. It wasn't until I got to college and I became a cop that I started really thinking like, I need to vote. I need to be a productive member of society. Black people die for the right to vote. And me sitting on the sideline, not getting involved in politics is a disservice. So that's pretty much how I started to vote and get involved.
Was there
Don't get happy like we support Brandon Tatum over here. I just wanted to see what the origin coon origin story was of this dude. Don't get happy.
a particular moment, or was it an evolution where you were just like, the Republican ideals seem to be more in line with me and who I am?
Well, it was an evolution because I grew up, and I would say when I was growing up, I was racist. I didn't really like white people like that. We never was around white people. And I had a very negative connotation. I didn't like police officers. First time I got an interaction with a police officer, I was 8. I got arrested for smoking weed in a vacant house with my cousins. And
As an 8-year-old?
8-year-old, yeah. I stopped smoking weed when I was 8, actually. But
What are your whoa. When did you start?
probably around when I was 6, 7, smoking weed with my
Wow.
cousin.
Nigga, how was you smoking weed at 8?
All right.
And
All right. So you stop at 8. Okay.
because I got arrested. We went to juvenile. We didn't spend a lot of time in there, but we ended up getting arrested. Went to juvenile detention. We stayed there for the majority of the day. My daddy came in there like he was in the WWE, saying he's gonna kill us and everything, and that changed my life. It's a whole story around that because Anyway, moving forward. So I grew up with that perspective, and when I left high school, went to college, I had an opportunity to be around white people in real life, and I realized that, wait a minute, I don't think white people are as racist or as punitive towards black people. It appears to me when I was in college, they didn't even care. It was a non-starter of racism when I went to the University of Arizona. It was nothing there. And so I began to realize, whoa, the world is bigger. Things are much different. I've been in an isolated box being taught something that I think is not really reality. And I got saved, and then I quit worrying about race. Race became irrelevant when I got saved. When I gave my life to Christ, I don't only look at people based on the color of their skin. I look at people based on their character. I look at people based on who they are, who they.
And see, it's people like him that give religion a bad name. It's people like him that if this is what the result of you getting saved do, you getting saved a bad name, brother. You're giving saved a bad name. And I know it's a lot of people who saved who don't think like that. But you're giving it a bad name, brother.
Present themselves to be. I believe that we're all God's children and that the color of your skin is irrelevant. And so moving from that point, I get to policing. And then a lot of times the guys that on the police department, they challenge me. They like, hey, do you believe in that? I'm like, no, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in this LGBTQ movement. I don't mind people doing what they want to do with their own time with who they love. But the movement, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with pushing it on people, different things like that. I believe in lower taxes. I believe in, that we were founded on Judeo-Christian values in this nation and that we are a Christian nation that's very tolerable to other religions and perspectives, but we are a Christian nation. All of our founders were believers. Most of our founders were avid believers. Most of our early scientists were believers. So I understood the perspective. I studied Africana studies in college, Black history.
Was that your major?
That was my minor. I had a thematic minor. So I was studying Africana studies as my minor, but I happened to need 2 classes, so I had to throw sign language in another class in and create a thematic minor. So
Gotcha.
my minor ended up being thematic, but majority of my minor was Africana studies.
And where'd you
So
go to college?
University of Arizona.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
So I hope I'm not getting off topic. That's kind of where it led,
No.
and then being challenged on the police department by some of my friends, and I'm like, I don't believe in that. They're like, well, that's what the Democrats believe. And then for the first time in my life, I actually look at what the Republicans believe, because I never even considered them. They were racist white people to me. Then I started looking at the platform. I went to a Trump rally, and not because I supported him, because I wanted to hear what he had to say. I really supported Ben Carson, and then I realized I do agree with these things. I do agree.
Right.
I love my country and all these other things. And I'm like, I believe I'm more Republican.
Got you. And so before that, you were just Democrat by default. This is what I grew up around.
Yeah.
I didn't really explore anything else. I was just birthed into this. Here I am
Yeah.
as a Democrat.
Yep.
Okay. So recently, I've become aware of your work, and I wasn't really aware of you up until recently, and have been following you and paying attention to some of the things you've been saying, posting, et cetera, et cetera. And there are a few questions that I'd like to ask you about some of the messages you have. Now, I want to be very, very clear. I do not agree with a lot of the things that you say. But
Thank you.
in my opinion, that's perfectly fine. People can disagree. You're allowed to have whatever opinion you'd like to have. I'm allowed to have whatever opinion I'd like to have. But I'm a psychotherapist, and I've been a psychotherapist for 20 years. So I hear things through a very particular lens as a result of being a psychotherapist and the experiences I've had through those 20 years. And that has led me to want to ask you a few questions about some of this content. Are you okay with that?
100%.
Okay. Because one of the things I'd like to start with, are you familiar with the term naive reality?
I can deduce what it means, but I'm not familiar with that specific term scientifically.
Well, so I want to use the term clinically. Like some of the terms that we use, I want to use the term clinically, and it's the psychological phenomenon when people believe their own perception of reality is the only objective one. So when I watch you, in particularly on like the Jubilee interview, for example, and someone gives you data, you often respond with your own subjective reality. And it made me want to ask you, what do you think of the idea of of the idea of the concept naive reality? Now, naive reality, I don't mean to call you naive, like that's why I want to be clear. I'm using the clinical label, like that's the word that we use.
I get it. I don't agree that I live in that reality. I think I'm pretty practical. When someone's giving me statistical data points that's unverified, I can't just run with it just because they said it. And if you look at some of the Jubilee footage, people were claiming all kind of things and they got fact checked and they were wrong. Some of the things that they said about Booker T. Washington, the guy who said he was an educator, and it lied about, flat out lied or had not honestly mixed up statements from Booker T. Washington book Up from Slavery, and then he goes and says it, and I can't go and verify it on the spot. And when others bring up statistical data points from studies that I haven't been able to verify, it's impossible for me to go and make an argument about something that's unverifiable. And I think that you would know in any argument that you would make or any discussion that you would have.
Only reason we watching this because I know this man is very intelligent and he knows the clinical terms to break down all of the tactics in which this guy moves. So I just want to see, one, how is he going to stand up to somebody speaking intelligently to him? And two, to kind of get more insight on where all this goddamn cooning come from.
If I come up and give something that you can't validate or verify, you either concede to it or you say, look, I object to the premise. I have education that leads me to believe certain things that's counter to things that was presented during the show, and I expressed that. I don't think that my reality is the only reality. I know a lot of people, I got a lot of friends that don't agree with me. People forget I'm still black. My whole family is black.
Yeah.
And we don't always agree. We have spirited discussions on certain things. I don't think my dad agreed with some of the things that I say. I think he agreed with most of it, but we have spirited discussions on this. I don't live in an echo chamber where I'm the only one that has have a reality that everybody has to bow down to. And so I just disagree And I think it's fine for us to disagree. The problem that I do have is when people say that somehow I'm not black because we have a difference of agreement, or somehow
That's not why we say
I
that.
can't handle the truth, or I hate my own
Yeah.
skin and I'm gonna sell out Uncle Tom bootlicker
You know what
because
we
I
think
have a
and why we
difference
say
of
that.
opinion.
No, that's
In
not it.
reality, a lot of black people have a difference of opinion. We're not all monolith. We're monolithic.
No, no, sir. I'm not finna sit up here and let you do that real quick. It's not because you have a difference of opinion. Oh no. It's because your unwillingness to put on your cape and stand in front of any harm, any words, any phrase, any thoughts directed towards your YT mommy and daddy. That's why. Because you're a low down little bootlicker. That's why. That's why. It's not because you think differently. It's because you will deny your own dignity to apologize for them folks. And that's what makes you a coward. But go on.
In our thought process. You know, I think Thomas Sowell has a very different perspective
Oh,
than other
now he's quoting Thomas Sowell, another known coon.
economists who are black. You know, we go down the list. You know, our current, and I would say one of the most honorable Supreme Court justices, Clarence Thomas. I bet him and Thurgood Marshall have a difference of opinion. I don't think either one of them are invalidated because of their opinions. And so that's the point that I have contention with. A lot of things that I said on there was based on evidence, based on research, and based on my own lived experience.
So you said earlier that when someone presents,
wait a minute real quick before I go on. You know I don't give a damn about you calling me racist. I don't care. I know you twisted and manipulating the word anyway, but I don't care. Guess what? You over here for it. That's why I poured on so thick. Because I know you secretly like it. You like to be talked to bad, don't you? Y'all some sadomasochists. Y'all like to be talked to real bad. Y'all like that. Y'all like white girls who done been with black dudes. It's y'all undercover cuck fetish that got y'all over here. Y'all be more fascinated with black people and black men than the white girls do. All that penis envy y'all be doing. So I don't care what you think, because you think I'm racist? Okay. I'm all that times 10. It's the Black Fox News, nigga. Yeah. I'm all that. And I got some videos crafted for you busters that I'll stop the interview right now and play them just for you. Because I'm petty like that. Because I don't give a damn. You know what? How about we have a let's talk about white people real quick. Y'all want to talk about white people? I want to talk about white people now. See, you done messed up, boy. You done messed up. Now I want to talk about white people. Now I want to talk about the ills in your community, since y'all don't want to bring them up. Right? Since y'all don't want to bring them up, since y'all over here in my chat talking to us, listening to us, watching the interview, let's talk about y'all now. Yeah. Let's switch gears here. Yeah. Let's do that. How about we switch gears? Let me find one of my finely crafted videos to tell y'all what I need to tell y'all, because you know I always incorporate yo folks to do it, right? It don't even be right unless I have yo folks do it. You know what I'm saying? Let me see who I got here. Let me see what I got for you, because I can't stand y'all. All right, let's talk about privilege. Let's talk about the privilege of y'all over here thinking that what y'all saying really matters to us. You want to talk about that? Okay, let's talk about that. Go ahead, break it down, Mr. White Man. Oh, you know what? Oh, hold on. Wait. Let me go back to a couple episodes ago when I had this white lady so eloquently tell us about y'all. Maybe I can educate y'all real quick. Let me go back into the archives. While I do that, let me let my man spit something at you real quick, because let me let my man spit at you real quick, because I got so many videos that I throw to the side for y'all when I be wanting to clown. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, I don't really like Tim Wise, but let's do a little education while I find that video. But listen to this.
Racist on here who love to talk about black and brown predators or the dangers of undocumented folks. Can you please explain why nearly 80% of the people who produce, distribute, or possess child essay material are white men?
Ooh. Uh-oh, that's a zinger. Uh-oh. Now we getting into it. What'd you say, Tim? Tim, what you say, buddy?
And almost all of them are U.S. citizens. And by the way, you can check that data for yourself. So you see this? This is the U.S. Sentencing Commission's interactive data analyzer, which is a nifty little tool that lets you look up stats on any federal crime category overall, and then you can break it down by race. And then you can calculate the percentage of that crime done by each racial group for every year going all the way back to 2015, or you can do it for a range of years. So I did that for child essay material prosecutions from 2015 all the way through 2025. And it turns out that 78% of those prosecutions were of white men, almost 8 out of 10, while only 6% were of black men. You know, that group that y'all racists say is the most dangerous and awful group out there? So what the hell is it about white men that explains this?
Hello, I don't see y'all Twitter fingers. I seen about 50 to 75 people left. I seen like 50 to 75 people left. Y'all still hanging on? Y'all want to hear some more? Can y'all explain that? Come on, where the typing at? Let me see all the typity types. Huh? Can y'all explain that?
I mean, after all, for other crimes, everybody's got a theory to explain it, right? For typical street-level violent or property crimes, both the left and the right have theories. We on the left say socioeconomic factors can explain them. The right says it's culture, maybe even biology. But my point is, everybody has a theory. And yet, when it's white dudes that predominate disproportionately in some category of misdeeds like child essay material or child sexual exploitation, also about 71% of those are white folks, according to a DOJ report released in January of this year, or spree killing or mass school shooting, suddenly nobody has an analysis at all. Apparently, we just treat that shit like some inexplicable individual pathology.
No, it's in the culture. No. Albino snow roaches who touch children, it's in the culture. It's in the culture. They can't keep their hands off them cheering. It's in the culture. It's in the culture. No, I can explain it. It's in the culture. Yeah, it's in the culture. Go ahead, Mr. Wise, tell them some more.
We write it off to mental illness or video games or some shit.
Nah, they ain't crazy. They know what it is when they thought about, or on their way about to go take their whole family out. They know that. That's why they over here in my chat right now, testing it out, growing some nuts so they can build up the momentum to go take mom and dad out. What, they ain't let you play with your Nintendo DS, fam? So they gotta go? Oh, they gotta go, fam. See, that's what's wrong with y'all. That's what's wrong with y'all. That's what's wrong with you. It starts in the home. See, y'all don't even respect your parents. You argue to your parents. Shut up, mom. This is my space. Jeez Louise. That's what's wrong with y'all. Y'all ain't got no respect for your parents, and your parents don't respect you because they keep teaching y'all to be hateful little dweebs, and y'all dare not go say it to a black person face. So then what y'all end up doing? Taking your family out and everybody around you. How sickening is that? How sickening is that, y'all? Something wrong with y'all. Y'all priorities is messed up. But yet and still, y'all want to come over here to my podcast and get in the chat and harass my viewers when we trying to build and get some knowledge. Hey, look, bro, this ain't your little counseling session, right? We don't care about, you know what I'm saying, your little family annihilist ways, okay, bro? Go on somewhere with that. But they can't, though. You want to know what? They are obsessed, y'all. If y'all didn't know, these folks is obsessed with us. And they're scared. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the fear. Let's talk about why you're really actually over here. You're over here because you're trying to figure out, what is the Negro saying? They ain't finna come get us, is they? Boy, we sure are being the worst humans in the world, subjecting them to everything possible that we can. When are they gonna snap and really come get us? Don't worry about it. You won't know about it because we ain't gonna say it on the podcast. Matter of fact, we don't even got to talk to each other. We communicate through telepathy. Something y'all wouldn't know nothing about. We ain't got to say nothing. But how come everybody know about YT crime? Tell them, cuz. Yeah, let's talk about crime. Yeah, let's talk about crime. Oh, you want to talk about crime?
We want to talk about crime.
You want to talk about mothers. Oh, you want to talk about mothers.
Everybody worried about brown people, gay people, trans people. Let me tell you who you should be worried about. I got my notes right here. 42% of murders, white people. 55% of burglars, white men. 50 to 56% of kidnappers, white. 55 to 60% of assaults are committed by white men. 55% of child sex abuse cases are against white men. 52 to 55% of hate crimes, white people. 91% of family annihilation, 91%, white men. 55 to 60% of assaults are committed by white men. 72% of all rape arrests are white people, and 57% of sexual assaults are committed by white men. 62% of school and mass shooters, white men.
Come on now.
Caucasian males. Caucasian men. The only statistics that they don't lead in, you know what they are?
What?
Exonerations and wrongful convictions. You know why? Because we do. You want to talk about who's violent? You want to talk about who the real terrorists are? You want to talk about domestic terrorism? Domestic... I'm not sorry for my outburst. 60 to 70%, if you want to get less violent, 60 to 70% of white collar criminals, white men. So not only will they beat you, sexually assault you, regularly assault you, steal from you, because they also lead in property crimes, they'll embezzle money from your businesses. They'll goddamn... they'll commit fraud. Every company needs an HR department because of white men.
Right.
It's always white. God damn.
Damn, did he say every company needs an HR department because these dudes can't keep their hands off people? Did you know that's why you got an AI at your company right now? Because they can't keep their hands off people. Did you know that? Did you know that?
I already know some dumbass in my comments from talking about, why don't you talk about per capita? Why don't y'all stop touching kids? Why don't y'all stop setting up academies to fucking teach each other how to assault your wives?
Woo!
Fuck! I'm cutting weight for a jiu-jitsu tournament. I'm not sorry for my outburst. I'm hungry and I'm pissed off. I don't like you. Obviously, domestic terrorism is a real problem. And we see who the real perpetuators of domestic terrorism are. White women. If your husband's a weirdo, call somebody. But y'all ain't safe from this either, because the majority of the people who kidnap infants, white women. Yeah.
And be touching all the school children, having dates with multiple dudes in the class. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah, y'all account for 60 to 70% of non-family infant abductions, so that's a problem. Seems like we need a different counterterrorism task force. And I'm just saying, I really want a cookie and some ice cream.
Yeah, I like the way he outbursts. So this ain't the podcast for you, fam. Now sit your ass back and watch this goddamn interview.
You with data that you can't verify, it's hard to argue with. Correct? Did I catch that right?
It's not fair to make a debate argument on unverified data because you're arguing from a false premise. So I can't concede to something and I haven't verified, because people do lie and people do tell half truths, and I haven't had a chance to evaluate the study. Right? If you gave me a study and I haven't been able to look at it or verify it, how then will I give you a fair enough argument in return? So I don't want to argue something that I haven't been able to verify. And most of those individuals were just making.
Nigga, you're lying, because you sat up there and argued that they took a polygraph test and end up looking stupid on Nancy Grace, and you couldn't verify that they did that. So you're lying.
Up stuff.
So how would you be able to determine if someone is somebody that you could listen to versus not? Like, for example, I'm a very credible psychotherapist. I've been trained. I've been doing this a long time. So if I said something, and I'll just give you an irrelevant point that will be accurate, but a relevant point. If I said to you, the counseling field was created in Boston, Massachusetts, by a group of individuals that wanted to help people find job placements. That's a fact. I'm going to guess you didn't know that because you're not a trained psychotherapist. Like, at what point do you say, I can listen to that data point, even though that's the first person I've heard say that data point? I don't have to go fact check it. I can listen to that data point.
Yeah. So just when it comes to you, I think you may be credible, but I think you are biased. And the reason I say that is because of some of the critiques you've had of me in previous videos. Without even meeting me or knowing me or interviewing me, you made some suggestions about who I was, and I thought it was unfair. However, if you make a statement of fact, I don't have a reason to believe that it's different, because I don't have any basis to argue it. Like, for instance, you gave me that statistical data point, or not data point, but you gave me that factual reality. I have not read or heard or have any reason to doubt what you said. Now, if you said that counseling and therapy was generated to make sure black people will never make it in life, then we're going to have an argument about it, or a conversation about it, because that does not seem to be practical in reality, and I've never heard it, and I've never heard anybody argue that. So I may push back on it. That doesn't mean that you can't prove me wrong. It's just that some things I may push back if it sounds nonsensical or not rooted in reality.
How does facts not?
But see, that's where I think the term naive reality fits here, because I might say something like, and I'll go with your example. I might say, the field of therapy and counseling was created to hold black people back. And you might say, that seems nonsensical to me, without acknowledging my expertise for being in that space.
Well,
like, I am in a position to say that as a fact,
Exactly.
even if it seems contrary into what you would have thought.
Well, Elliott, think about this. I'm a former police officer. I did the job for many years.
What
I'm
that
very
mean?
proficient at what I did. Many commendations. You can go down, so on and so forth. You can ask anybody who ever worked with me. I was a very good police officer. Just because I'm a police officer don't mean that everything I say pertaining to law enforcement is correct. It doesn't mean that that you have to accept it as being correct. Maybe I'm wrong about some things. I'm open to that. But just because I have credentials in the field, it doesn't mean that you have to concede to everything that I say. And so I think that if I say something to you that you think is invalid, or you don't think is rooted in factual reality, or that you have contrary facts, it's okay to challenge me on it. And I don't think that you should just go off everything I say at face value. And I'm not going to go off everything you say at face value if it contradicts.
Hey, contrary to popular opinion, Keep It P podcast is a global show, okay? And little do y'all know, like, UK and a couple other places rock with us real heavy. I got white friends that I'm cool with that know how I talk online. They know who I'm talking to. If the shoe fit, put it on. But if that ain't you, then stop getting in your feelings. Now, I'm not talking about you per se, Mom. Not you saying, but I'm just saying in general, because what you said made me think about that. What's good? How you feeling? But yeah, it ain't all about that. But we gonna, I think it's the dweebs in the chat that just have a real hard time with hearing the truth. And that's just the L you gonna have to hold. Sit on that.
What my lived experiences are and my research have shown, and then we have a debate on that. Like when it comes to policing in America, I mean, there's Harvard research that have been done that determined very clearly by a black man who is now alienated. I forget his name. We can look it up. But, he made a very distinct finding that there is no bias in policing against black people.
See, and that's why we don't like your dumb ass. Why would you even bring that up? Nobody even asked you for that. But you want to go out your way at every time to take up for them folks. That's why we don't like your ass.
Disproportionately. And that person was shunned. He was Harvard educated, one of the most intelligent young men that's not even a conservative. And when he makes statements like that, coupled with my lived experience as a police officer, I began to realize, well, maybe, just maybe, people are projecting a reality on law enforcement that's not necessarily true.
Oh my, so it's your job to cape for law enforcement? I understand that you was a cop, but you also a black man, which you obviously don't see it. And y'all know what the funny thing is though? He know about racism and bias and all of that when his little white peers get to calling him nigga and all of that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna find that clip when he talk about, oh, that's racist, all that. I thought it didn't exist. See, so you a double-tongued, fork-tongued little coon that be talking out the side of your neck on some Kirk shit.
Because of their own biases. So you have statistical data and research that contradicts some of the research that the gentleman presented to me on Jubilee. I think his name was Ronald Fryer. I think it's Ronald Fryer. I think his name is. But anyway, people can look that up if they want.
But see, that's the interesting thing, which is why I'm so interested in talking to you about these points, because when you say those kinds of things, like there's a Harvard researcher that says X, Y, or Z. I'm going to be very honest with you. I did a year, because you're familiar with this area. I did a year working with and training and riding out with the Arlington Police Department as a clinician, teaching them how to talk to, you're probably familiar with the Victims Assistance Unit. So teaching them how to talk to victims of violence crime. I did all of those experiences. I'm very aware with certain research, and I'm very aware with police biases. If I present information to you, there's something about you that holds on to your already held idea.
Not really. I mean, let's do it. We'll do a point now. I mean, what did you observe when you were on the ride along? Did you observe racial biases that
not only did I observe it, but the police, one of the things that I really enjoyed about the Arlington Police Department was the Arlington Police Department is one of the only police departments in the state of Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I believe there are
shout out to our brother over there in Nigeria. Shout out, bro. He say there's something wrong with Tatum. He is uninformed, but talks with the swagger, which may fool some people, and being a Nigerian who lived in USA, I find him annoying. I left in the US in 1983. Well, that's what's up, brother. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for tapping into the Keep It P podcast, because I already know that that's another demographic. We got Africa on lock over there, straight up. But that's very intelligent. He do talk with a lot of swagger, like you would think what he's saying is the truth, and really he a damn fool. And guess what? One thing he don't know, and all of these coon people don't know, when YT supremacists is done with you, they break your tools. You good right now. You getting a little money, but best believe they know his little kink, his little itch, his little something. He ain't squeaky, and better believe they got that on deck right now. So soon as when Cuz get out the way, y'all gonna be hearing about the scandal or the scam, and y'all gonna be like, oh no, not Brandon Tatum. Yep, Brandon Tatum.
There were 3 at the time. I don't know what there is now, but it's one of the only police departments in this area that required a bachelor's degree. So we would have very, very like intellectual conversations. And not only did I observe it, I observed police officers calling each other out on it, and I observed police officers acknowledging it and addressing it.
And acknowledging
So
racial bias in policing.
100%, yes.
And can you give
Yes.
me an example of when you were on a ride along that this occurred, and what was the
I,
scenario?
I can absolutely give you an example. Are you
And,
familiar
and
with
also, I would love for you to do this, and we can do it offline. If you can give me the police officer that you rode along with, because I would love to communicate with that person, because I have never had a conversation with a cop that have made mention of some of that he witnessed or was involved in racial bias on the police department while having a ride along. But go ahead.
No. Okay, before I do that, I want to say clinically, you're doing the thing that we would judge clinically that I'm talking about right now. This thing that we're talking about, this night. Hold on,
I just
I'm
said
gonna explain
present
it.
it to me. I'm not saying
I'm
that
gonna
you're wrong.
No, I got you. I'm gonna explain exactly what I mean in a minute. That's
Is
why
it
I'm
is it
happy to do this.
but Elliot, is it unfair for me to say I have never heard of this? Can you please give me the example that you presented? I never said you were wrong. I just said I wanted to hear the example.
I'm gonna explain the concept, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna 100% respond to your question.
Right.
Okay.
Because the concept, right, this idea that we're talking about here, this like reality thing, this naive reality, it's usually held by people that are in authoritarian positions, that their identity is attached to their position, and they're getting social rewards for holding that position. When that happens, hold on, I'm going to make this point and then we're going to respond to you. When that happens, your brain, not you, Brandon, but like the human brain, experiences a threat. They experience like the conflict to my previously held idea, not as a new idea. They experience that new idea as an existential threat. Because if I accept that thing to be true, then a lot of my other arguments fall apart.
But
Right.
Elliot, can I
Now,
interject?
No,
I
shut
think
up
you're
and just listen
alluding that this is
sometimes.
me. I
Damn.
don't have an attachment. I'm not a police officer anymore. I
no,
am an
you're not.
entrepreneur. So
You
I
are
don't have an
absolutely an entrepreneur.
attachment. If a cop is wrong, they wrong. It doesn't hurt me if a cop is wrong and go to jail for racial biases. Me and you can go to the police department together and let's fight against racist cops doing things they ain't supposed to do. I'm with you on that, brother. We can do it together. So
I would gladly march into any police department you wanted to and hold them accountable. I'm not
right,
saying that
this
you
cop
can.
that you had the experience with needs
I'm
to
going to
be
get to
held
that in a second.
accountable.
I'm going to get to that in a second. But what you're not doing, which in my opinion clinically fits with this idea of naive reality, is you are saying things like, I've been a cop for 6 years or however many years you said. I've been a cop for several years, whatever it was. I have never seen or heard about racial bias showing up in policing. When there is
I
a
said,
significant
but what
documented
you're
history of
saying,
this.
I'm telling you what my experience is, and you said you have an example of this. I just want you to present the example to me. I'm not saying that it don't exist. I told you
So-
what my experiences are, and you have an experience different than mine, and I'm asking you to present the experience to me so I can learn.
So I'm going to present the experience, and then I want to see what happens to your ability to digest this reality.
Okay.
Are you familiar? So I remember one of the officers' name actually, even though this was like 20. This was the very beginning of my career. This was about 20 years ago, but I remember one of the officers' names because he ended up getting very famous doing something else. So are you familiar
Something
with the name?
nefarious?
No. Are you familiar with the name Ronnie Coleman?
Yeah, Ronnie Coleman, bodybuilder. The greatest
Bodybuilder.
bodybuilder.
The greatest bodybuilder of all time. I'm familiar with him as a bodybuilder, but I met him as a police officer. Did you know he was a police officer at the Arlington
Yes.
Police Department?
Yes.
I was doing a ride along with a veteran police officer, and we had to go. So my job was to go with the police on scene when there was a violent potential crime, which is a violent crime scene anywhere. And most people don't know this, so I'll go ahead and say this. About 90 to 95% of police calls are domestic violence. So it was just constant violent domestic violence. This one particular call was somebody took their life, and we had to go talk to the people that were in the setting where it happened. I was with a veteran police officer, white guy, when we went out and did it. When we got onto the scene, there was a newer rookie white guy, police officer, that was talking very, very aggressively and disrespectfully to kids in the area who happened to be all black.
Well, wait
They
a minute.
actually,
Do you
Shut
think that
up and
he
let
was
the man
talking to them
talk.
because they were
God
black,
damn.
or they just happened to be black?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
When we showed up, the veteran white police officer and myself showed up. He reprimanded this officer and talked to him about, you were only talking to those kids in that way due to your own biases, and they had a lengthy conversation about it. The very next day, when they had the roll call at the police department, they involved Ronnie Coleman. Those of you who might be listening who don't know Ronnie Coleman is black. They involved Ronnie Coleman, and they all had a conversation with this officer, who then acknowledged that his previous experiences have caused a bias to lead to him conversating with those kids in that way. So that is a clear, concrete example where it happened. The very thing you're saying doesn't happen.
No, I
happened.
didn't. I didn't say it does not happen. I said I have never had the experience with somebody telling me that or experiencing it myself. It can happen. Now here's the thing.
Man,
This
you
would
ain't
probably
man.
shock your
Shut
mind.
up.
I don't think that policing is without fault. I know that there's
Talking
people who are on the
about,
police
man.
department that are racist. I've never experienced it. I know there's people who are insensitive to race. I know that there's people who are dirtbags. I work with some of them that were dirtbags and they got fired, and nobody hates them more than other police officers. So I'm not here telling you that there's no such thing as racism. I'm just saying it's so infrequent that I have never experienced it. But you have your experiences. He was reprimanded by another white officer, and his behavior changed. So what that tells
I
me,
didn't say his behavior changed. I did not say his behavior changed.
well, if his behavior didn't change, then he shouldn't be a police officer anymore, correct?
He might not be. I
No,
was
no.
only there for a year.
Well, we need to find out, because if somehow he was, see, here's the thing that I think is pertinent to digest as well, is a person can have an opinion about the way you treat another person and project that it's race related, and when it's not. He said that he felt his previous behaviors were wrong in the way he treated the young people, correct? When Ronnie Coleman showed up to the meeting. So that means that he acknowledged he was wrong. The other officer called him out when he saw it happen. That means that if his behavior continues that way, he should not be a police officer anymore.
I agree with you.
And what I'm saying is that you're showing me and you explain to me a check and balance that happened in real time, meaning that
Correct.
unchecked behavior is not something that's prevalent. If most officers do not partake in racial biases towards people, it makes officers sick to their stomach, and they hate it with a passion. So therefore, when you see an officer see another officer do something incorrect to people in the community, they will get on there fast, and it happens.
But you're
And what I'm telling you is that you can say that there's things that occur. I agree with you, but that you just showed me an example of
Tatum
how
don't know
most
when.
officers are unaccepting to stuff like that. Racial bias in policing is unacceptable to most officers.
okay. I want to be very, very clear about this point. After I presented you a concrete example, you softened your position, which is fine.
I didn't soften my position. I never had
But
a
then-
position
Shut up,
that
nigga.
somehow
You literally
you were wrong.
said,
Damn.
okay, fine. We can go back and watch the replay. But my follow-up question to this is, I am one person with my own subjective experience. You asked me to give you a concrete example. I gave you one. You have your own subjective experience where you're saying, I was a police officer for this amount of time. I never saw it. And then you're making a very bold claim saying, I think most officers are disgusted by this and most officers are good officers. Like what would someone have to present to you to say, wow, racial bias in policing is actually a bigger issue than I previously thought? Because there is data to that
I'm
end.
telling you, I'm not saying that racial bias is not in policing. We've already
No.
established
I said
that.
a major problem.
No.
in
When you
policing.
say major, to me, that means that a person that have served in the police department. You've done a few ride-alongs. I've done thousands because I was a cop in the car. I dealt with people on a daily basis. I'm talking about hundreds of arrests, thousands of traffic stops, and you name it. I've had so much experience, and I know a lot of officers. And I'm telling you that with my experience personally, plus officers that I've talked to, it does not appear that racial bias is prevalent. You, as a clinician, just gave an example, and the example you chose was that you encountered a rookie officer who doesn't have a lot of experience getting chastised by another officer who were both white because he was inappropriate in the way he treated young black men or young black kids on a call.
Kids.
So I'm telling you my experience, and even in your experience, it validates what I'm saying. It's so not prevalent that you can't even witness it happen without somebody checking them over it. And therefore,
That's not what I said. You asked me for one example. I gave you an example.
but the example you gave me, to me, I'm assuming that you would give me a pretty prominent, egregious example. But even an example that you gave me, you're alluding to the fact that he was chastised by another senior officer who was white, not a black
He was
man.
called out for sure. He was called out by a white man.
And that's why I'm saying most cops are not in the business of being racist. And when we see our officers doing things they shouldn't do, majority of the cops will call people out on this. It's not acceptable in policing for you to be racist towards people. It's not acceptable. Now, there are people that do it, but that's not acceptable. It's not like your chief is going to watch you do something racist and go, yeah, that's totally fine.
This dude is acting like the origin of the police is not the slave patrol. Boy, if you don't get out of here and go sit down somewhere and take a huge nap off a bridge. Police started from slave catchers, my guy. What are you talking about? So in its inception, it is inherently biased against black people. What are you talking about? Ryan, yes, they is. I did the documentary on it, homeboy. How you gonna tell me? I didn't research this. My good guy. My good brethren. You can't tell me about that. I did the documentary on that. What is you talking about? Abolish the slave patrol. I've done this research, sir. What are you talking about? So quit the shenanigans, bro. He lying.
Fine. No, the community is not accepting it. Other black officers won't accept it, and good white officers will not accept it in policing. So it's rare.
But here's my statement. It's according to data, according to research, it's not rare. I can
No,
give
research
you
that I just explained to you from Fryer, from Harvard, a Harvard professor who did a research document and posted that his findings, and they didn't even want him to present his findings, and they hated him over it, that his findings were that there is no biases when you look at the numbers against blacks in policing.
I'm going to post, when we post this video, I'm going to post more research. And my question to you is, will you observe and attend to research that is not a part of your or my subjective experience?
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good question. But if I'm racist, you're dumb because you're over here in my chat. You love this racism, don't you? Don't you? You love it. Ryan's one of them dudes. You gotta watch out for them type of dudes. They secretly like men's. He probably one of them Jackass. You know, y'all know that movie Jackass with them white boys that be doing crazy stunts with sticking stuff up their butt. That's Ryan. What's up, Nia? What you talking about? Hey, boy, you better talk to somebody who ain't did the research, fool.
100%. I wrote a book on this stuff. Let me give you a couple examples. Do you think that
No.
Derek Chauvin? Okay.
I want to hear your example. I mean,
And this is his tactic too. He got diarrhea of the mouth. He just get to talking and not saying nothing. I'm glad I get to see this interview because I wanted to see how he was gonna act, you know what I'm saying, with the black dude. He was on there with Stephen A. Smith, and Stephen A. Smith was breaking him down. He's not as strong as he's not, he probably he has the intelligence and the tact, but he don't got the oratorial assertiveness. You know what I'm saying? To really get at Tatum like he need. Because everything that he said, I wouldn't even argue with Tatum. I wouldn't even debate him because he's not even gonna. It's not gonna be the evil playing field. Ain't gonna be facts. He gonna think he gonna out talk you with coon shit. But anyway, let him go ahead.
I want to hear your response clearly. Will you accept data that is beyond just subjective experience and is developed by people that research this?
I just told you that the Harvard professor had his data. I accept all data.
Okay,
but I'm articulating to you that there's counter data to saying that there's implicit bias in policing, to a large degree, racism against blacks.
That's what I'm saying. We dropped that, fam. And here you go. Right back at it. Just to let you know now that police don't be mean to black people. Police don't be mean to black people. What are you talking, man? This is cringe, but I believe in getting knowledge from the other side, y'all. That's the reason why I do this. Sometimes you gotta hear what your opposition be on. This how you get stronger. This how you build up a defense. You gotta hear these dumbass arguments and then learn how to tear them down. You see what I'm saying?
I just showed you there's counter data. I accept everybody's data.
But why are you giving more weight? Why are you giving this?
Because
this speaks to the very bias I'm talking about. You're giving more weight to this study versus the contrarian ideas.
No. There's a study, right?
There's a study
that I observed. There's two studies. There's the pro and against. And then I have to go off my own experience.
So no,
based on
that's not how learning happens.
Right? No. If you got a study, right? You have a study. Just give both of them credit to say they both are correct subjectively. They both have a subjective perspective here. Both of them are correct. Now, I can't. How am I going to choose who's right and who's wrong in this? It has to go down to what are my experiences, and does my experiences as a law enforcement officer and all of the officers that I know match one of these experiences?
Boy, gosh darn well, it wasn't no precinct you wasn't in where they wasn't putting bananas in your locker, stringing up the nooses, saying the N-word jokes, and you was cool with it. You was all good. I know you was, because you like, them ain't me. When they say they got a black friend, it's this guy. When they say got a black friend, I got a black. What you mean? I got a black friend. I love my black friend. It's niggas like him.
That's not accurate.
Not unless you're saying one is right and one is wrong.
That is not accurate.
Are you saying that the Harvard study is wrong?
That is not what I'm saying.
Okay, then we're assuming, I'm conceding that both of them are subjectively correct. And whatever
you got to let me explain how research is consumed. Research is absolutely not one is right and one is wrong. That's not how research is consumed.
Exactly. Subjective, because they have subjective truths.
No, let me explain, because I'm trying to explain.
Did this let me just go ahead and let that.
You how research is consumed, because it's not a matter of one research study being right and one research study being wrong. There are many factors in the research study, meaning what kind of study was it? Was it a double-blind research study, which is the gold standard? Was it a meta-analysis, which compares all kinds of research? How many subjects were in that research? Research is weighted, so it's not just like one is right and one is wrong.
No.
You can absolutely have two studies saying contrarian things, but one of them did far more rigorous things to get their response, and that matters.
Yeah, but you can also, and I agree with you, research can be wrong too. People can have malicious reasons to do research and have imperfect findings because they've intended it to be that way. I'm conceding to the fact that both of these research data points are objectively are in good faith presented to the public. What I'm telling you is that you asked me, why do I lean more towards one than the other? I'm conceding
Correct.
that they both are fair, but then I have to go off of my lived experience. Let me give you an example. If you being a clinician doing your job for 20 plus years, you have a study that says that black people are not treated poorly whatsoever in your field, and you have one that says black people are treated imperfectly all the time, more consistently. You give them both fair weight as if these are good faith attempts to present information. You have to then rely on your personal experience to say
That is, you
which
keep
one
saying that. That is not
weighs
accurate.
more. I
That is
mean,
not
I think
accurate.
that's the way people, you can't, like,
Well,
for
I'm going to
instance,
tell you. I'm going to tell you.
for
Look, I'm
instance,
going to tell
I
you.
have never experienced racial encounters on the police department ever by any of the officers. Most of the officers that I know that work in primarily black neighborhoods on the Georgia police officers, I mean, I actually mentored one of them. They are saying the same thing.
And the lie detector determined that was a lie. You was a police officer in Georgia and you never experienced racism. This dude is hardcore, stone cold, all the way in the sunkenness of sunken places. This whole interview is, I applaud my man's. He's standing strong, and he's doing right too. Because the longer you let him talk, the more goofy stuff you say. To somebody who's intellectual and understand what this guy is running a 1,000-mile yard dash with his tonsils. He ain't saying nothing though. He got a pattern too. Fluff, fluff, fluff. Take up for white people. Fluff, fluff, fluff. Take up for white people. Fluff, did I say? Take up for white people. Fluff, fluff, fluff. That's it. I've been listening. Hell yeah, he a lie like a mug. D, for real, for real. Talking about he ain't experienced no racism in Georgia. Boy, if you don't, that's why I can't even take this dude serious. And I see exactly why white people love him. Because look, let me tell y'all something about white people. They gonna play just as dumb as you play. If you play dumb, if you don't know what racism is and you don't know what none of that, they don't know either. All while doing it to you. All while doing it to you. What you talking about some white supremacy? All while doing it, practicing it, instituting it, all while doing it, they don't know what's going on. So if you keep playing dumb, they'll play right, and they love a dumb one like this. He's the most ignorant. He might as well be like, yes, your boss, whenever you say, I was gonna fight to the ends now. They love his kind. I see why I support Tatum. I love Tatum's the man. Tatum for president. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I bet. And then you wonder how that make you look as a white person supporting this dude. If you're supporting this dude, I know you ain't got nowhere near nothing of my interest in mind. Because he's denying every ounce of his blackness, and you like that. Oh, you like that. That make you feel so good. That's right. He don't talk about no color. He don't do nothing like that. I likes me some Tatum. That's my boy now. I don't know about all the other blacks, but I like Tatum. That's y'all boy, huh? Little busters.
Dude, majority of our encounters are not racist encounters. My white colleagues are not racist against black people. It's a rare thing to happen. So all of the people,
I just don't understand, man. This boy is trained, man, to have testicles in his jawline. He cannot spit the nuts out. He had them surgically sewed to his jawline. He just walking around with a big nut in his mouth. It's just he's a buster, man. on every turn.
Who I know, all of the experience I have, when I look at the two data points, objectively, I'm saying that I believe in the Harvard study, a professor who did an incredible study, who balanced and weighed all of the data. I'm saying that I lean more towards believing what he's saying because that's
I'm gonna,
also my experience.
due to time, I have one more one more question I'm going to ask you. So we're going to move on to a different subject. But I am going to make this point about research. I am a consumer and producer of research. My
Both.
entire field is based upon evidence-based research. I have to read it constantly to do my work.
Exactly.
So if I read a study that says something like a particular therapeutic intervention is useful, and then another study that says that same particular therapeutic intervention is not useful, you are making the argument that I have to go on my own lived experience. But that is not true. Hold on, I'm making a point, and then we're moving on to the next topic.
Okay.
You're making the argument that now I have two contrarian but credible research studies saying different things.
Exactly.
So now I have to rely on my own personal experience. And the truth is, I have to go into the study and say, how many subjects did they have? What kind of research was it?
We're not to that point. I'm not saying an
Yeah, we
illegitimate
is to
study.
that
I'm saying
point,
two
man.
legitimate studies
I'm
from
not
different
saying.
perspectives.
I'm saying
In your
legitimate
clinical-
studies still have different levels. Do you
in
know
your-
what a
in
power
your-
ranking is? Legitimate studies have power rankings. So
yes,
we know.
but you do not know.
See, he don't want. See, Brandon Tatum. He don't want to stay on subject. Cuz is trying to pin him down to stay on the subject. Now watch him go all off into the price of tea in China and all type of other shenanigans.
If the study that I'm referring to, the Harvard study, is more powerful or less powerful than the one that you've presented. So what I'm saying is, let's just give both.
So
of them
you don't
equal
know
weight.
that the study. You don't. But that's not how that works. You don't know. You don't
You
know
are
the other
conceding.
studies
Well,
power
go,
ranking either.
let's do this. Let's both evaluate both of them. Then we'll come back and say which one is imperfect or not.
100%.
But this is what I'm saying. You can say
It's not about.
And he's getting tricked by this nigga's body language. If y'all ain't peeped by now, he puts his hands up like stop talking. That's another way he bullies in conversation too. Over camera. If y'all see, that's a tactic. I don't know if anybody peeped that, but he always putting his hands up like stop. When he stopped talking, that's why he do that. And to the untrained eye, that's intimidating because your eyes is you trying to connect with the person that you're looking at on camera, and when you're looking and you're talking, but all you see subliminally is stop, so he can take over the conversation. Come on now.
Imperfect.
If a
It's
person
about
say,
who was more rigorous in
if
their
a person
study.
say, if a person say that you're interviewing a person in this environment, it's not conducive for the best interview for therapists. And you're saying, and another study says, no, you can't interview a person in this environment. And you go, well, I get what they're both are saying. They both have credible research that they've done. But my experience is that when I interview people in this environment, I get good results. Like when people say, should you medicate a person with Percocet or should you medicate a person with this? There's holistic approaches and then there's medical approaches. At some point, you have to say, based on my information that I have derived from doing this for 20 years, this works, although this study is claiming that it does not work. That's a fair assessment.
That is.
This boy went off the deep end to the pool of nowhere. He is exhausting to listen to.
It's not a fair assessment. You are using the word objective, but then demonstrating bias.
You have people that say that.
See, look, he just did it again. Dude, how do you keep letting him do that to you? Look,
that's a fair assessment.
Look,
that is not a fair assessment. You are using the word objective, but then demonstrating bias.
You have people that say that
he put his hand out all up on the camera. He good at what he doing if you don't know what he doing. Because I would have to stop no. Let me finish what I'm saying, fam. The hell is you talking about? Slow down.
A person can do a research on this. You can have a person that says you handcuff this way, which is the most appropriate way to handcuff without violence. You have another person that say, no, that's not the way that you handcuff. You can handcuff this other way. You can be subjective in the way you think handcuffing should be done in order to be the most efficient and proficient in what you do. Both could be accurate, but other people can prefer to do a certain act because they've done it for 20 years and it works.
So I'm gonna I want to move on to the next topic due to time, but I do not believe you are an accurate consumer of research, given the way you are describing research.
I disagree with you, and I don't believe that you're accurate.
Fair. That's fine. That is totally fine. I am happy to do exactly what you suggested. We will both consume research and then come back and say, here's what we found, and we can explain the research to one another. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, that's be fair. All right, last question, and they get me out of here.
The last question. Are you familiar with the term internalized racism?
I don't know what the definition would be in a clinical way, but I can deduce what internalized racism would be. But
what would you say that it is?
I've heard people.
Well,
I've heard people say I've heard people say internalized racism is
you.
Well, let me let you explain it because I don't want to confuse
No, it's you.
conflate two different things. But go ahead and explain it. And
internalized racism is you.
So normally, people conflate the idea of internalized racism with self-hatred. And I have seen people say, and you alluded to it earlier, people say he hates his blackness. People say he hates his own skin, et cetera, et cetera. That's actually not accurate per the accurate definition of internalized racism.
Right.
Internalized racism is I've adopted the mentality and ideas of the colonizer. So a more accurate description of the word would literally be
so let's get to the point.
Hands up.
Do you think that I fit in one of these statements?
I'm asking you, do you think you fit? Do
No,
you think that
no,
the
I
term
don't.
internalized racism towards you fits?
No, and I'm glad I didn't try to guess what the meaning was because I believe I conflate the two. If you're saying that internalized racism is adopting the perspective of the colonizer, 100,000%, that's not my perspective. That doesn't apply to me.
Dude, you just sat up here on this podcast and short of even in your villain origin story, your coon origin story, I used to hate white people, but I got baptized and I seen the lights. White peoples ain't so bad. I loves white peoples. That's all you've been talking about is your colonizers on this whole broadcast, bro. The hell are you talking about, man? I'm convinced you got a little midget white supremacist steering your body in your head. You are definitely the get out. You sunk all the way down and somebody's just controlling your joint because we can't understand how do they get a big black burly nigga like you to spit so much coon in. This is ridiculous.
No, and I'm glad I didn't try to guess what the meaning was because I believe I conflate the two. If you're saying that internalized racism is adopting the perspective of the colonizer, 100,000%, that's not my perspective. That doesn't apply to me. If you're saying that I have self-hate, no, 100%.
I did not say that.
No.
He didn't say that. And see, and this is what he likes to do. Look, you see the hands going up to stop. Soon as somebody get to talking, them stop hands get to going out. 2 stop signs, stop, right? He's good at it. I'm going to give him that. He's good at that. Then he tries to argue on a point that you didn't even make. He asked you, how do you feel about yourself? But your little insecure, internalized racism self, you got to lash out. Cause see, right now he ain't around no YT people in the chat or nobody giving him a pat on the back or a little scruff on the head like a dog. He ain't getting that right now. That's why he was like, "Let me get out of here. Come on, how long? Let me get out of here. This guy is just he's speaking too much logic, man. I can't do this." I need to go back to my bubble. I need some white people to tell me they love me. Face ass.
No, I'm not saying you did. Let me correct it. If this phrase of self-hate is not applied to me either. So internalized racism and self-hate does not apply to me.
So
do you believe that one of those apply to me?
I do. I do believe the term internalized racism.
Now, we gotta. I know we run low on time, but like, you're saying that I have adopted the perspective of the colonizer.
Yes.
Give me an example. It got to be quick because I know we run low on time.
So don't say give me an example and then police how long it take to get it. See, he's very good at his tactics and what he does because he's not trying to hear the real. And soon as cuz start talking, watch them stop hands go up.
Where would you derive that I've adopted the perspective of the colonizer? And can you explain real quickly who that person is or who that group of people are in America today?
I'll give you a very specific example. You said that you don't believe slavery stole money from the black community.
I did. That's not what I said. I said you cannot evaluate if slavery stole money. No, because if racism stole money, because money wasn't even on the table. It's not like slaves could even make money. So you can't say they stole something they never had a chance to make. That's what I.
What? I kicked that nigga off my show. I would kick that nigga. But I shout out to Elliott Connie. Nerves are still. True gangster. Cause I don't even see how he deal with this.
Was referring to. It's not like black people had money and then it was stolen from them when they were introduced into slavery and then it could potentially have been given back to them. They never had the earning potential as being slaves. So nothing was stolen from them. Now
oh my God. Oh, he gotta be recording. Oh, he's playing this back. He's making sure he gets his little things in for when he put it up on his channel. So his folks can get in the comment section and big up him up. Because if you're just gonna sit up there and literally deny forced labor, like labor has no value, that's bananas. That is bananas. Go gadget slap straight up. Something. This dude, sheesh, he's deep in the coon soup.
Cannot evaluate if slavery stole money. No, because if racism stole money, because money wasn't even on the table. It's not like slaves could even make money. So you can't say they stole.
When he said play the clip, Cuz was like, no. Don't come with no fact. Please don't come with no facts.
Something they never had a chance to make. That's what I was referring to. It's not like black people had money and then it was stolen from them when they were introduced into slavery and then it could potentially have been given back to them. They never had the earning potential as being slaves. So nothing was stolen from them. Now, opportunities were not provided for them after slavery in an adequate way, but you can't say something was stolen that was never available to them.
So to be clear, you're saying black people never had anything, so thus it couldn't be stolen. Is that correct?
In slavery, the ones who were slaves, who was purchased as a slave, had nothing to gain or had nothing to, they had no possessions to hold on to because they were slaves. They weren't even considered persons, humans. They were property, like animals. They had no money to obtain or to give up or to relinquish. They had no choice in it. So that you can't compare that.
So again, I just want to be very clear on what I'm hearing. You're saying that slaves had no property, so thus it couldn't have been stolen.
Yes.
Okay. That is factually inaccurate. We know that from slave documents that they did have money. They were allowed at times to earn money, and they did have possessions.
Hold on.
And those things were taken.
Let's talk about it because I want to be very clear about this. I studied this in college.
And wait a minute. Talk that stuff to somebody who don't know. If slaves didn't have no money, then why they put it all in the Freeman's Bank, and the dude from Freeman's Bank stole all the slaves' money? If they didn't have no money, how they put money in the bank? How? Sway, how? How? If slaves didn't have no money, then how did they put money in the Freeman's Bank? Why is it that our grandmothers and grandfathers kept money under the mattress, scared to put the money in the bank because they already done stole the money before, fresh out of slavery? If we ain't have nothing, how? No, we ain't even talk about the labor. We're not even talking about the labor. We're talking about if we didn't have no money, then what was the Freeman's Bank about? See, I hate ignorant dudes like this. And then he's up there with this self-deprecating talk about black people. Nigga, I don't know. Is he a tether? Brandon Tatum must be a tether. He must be, because I ain't even heard Jesse Lee Peterson talk like this about his people. I mean, he might talk about baby mamas, baby daddies, but I didn't heard him even talk strong about the ancestors. He talking about his own folk. I don't know. What was the Freeman's Bank, Rhonda? Oh, you don't know about the Freeman's Bank? So when we got out of slavery and all of that, they had a whole bunch of new consumers and a whole bunch of new people. But black people was already doing all the jobs and the work. So guess who they had to hire? And guess who wasn't all everybody wasn't enslaved too. There was free black people as well too. So since everything was segregated and this type of thing and whatever, since black people was relegated to building their own strongholds and this type thing and other. Here, let me just pull it up for you. I don't mind taking a little trip down memory lane. And hold on real quick. Hold on. I'm sure Google's your best friend, but I'm so cold with it. I like to scour. I like to scour, and it's just that simple. Hold on, here we go. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get into this knowledge real quick. I'm sure it wasn't fire. I'm sure somebody had the knowledge right there that any one of you goofs
in that
could go Google. And I'm not saying you who asked the question, because that makes you smart because you're asking the question. But any of the goofs that be questioning what I say like I'm wrong, boy, I know what I'm talking about, boy. What are you talking about? Let's go and get some history.
In that agrarian economy, you're just labor. Land is capital. So to gain money and wealth and to have freedom, you have to have land.
Haven't made a dollar bed. Look is all I've had.
What does that say? Freeman's Bank. The story of the worst robbery of black wealth in American history. And it's a white lady saying it. So now you can listen.
At the end of the war, President Abraham Lincoln had promised the freedmen 40 acres of land per family. But those promises died with Lincoln's assassination.
Instead of 40 acres and a mule, they got the Freedmen's Bank. So instead of land, they were given a bank.
Union soldiers were getting bonuses. So the idea was to create a way to encourage the men to save the money so they wouldn't go squander it or be defrauded out of the money.
So you say, how did they have the money? Because we foundational and we didn't fought in every war in this country and the government had to pay us for that. Where the money come from? See, we ain't the same. See, we got deep roots in this thing. We didn't shed blood on this thing. This is where we from. But see, you wouldn't know this if you ain't looking for it. And I know y'all just want to keep up these little 1358 statistics and all of that. But learn something, boy.
It was sold to the freedmen as better than giving you the land. You will earn the money through wages, and you will save it, and you'll buy your own land, and you'll feel better about that.
You see that? See them that paper, them dollars, them amounts that black people work for, and them folks stole it. Always talking about pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But then when you make some boots and some socks and some pants and some shoes, they steal your whole outfit.
Never mind that hundreds of years of working the land didn't count for earning the land.
The Freedmen's Bank was privately held, owned, and managed by wealthy white men. But the bank's aggressive marketing conveyed a different impression to its black depositors.
The passbooks, the notes, all featured, the heroes. It was Abraham Lincoln, it was General Grant, Howard. It was very targeted. So people were saying, these are the men who freed us. And they're saying, come to this bank.
In freedom, some skilled African Americans saved their hard-earned capital at the Freedmen's Bank and went into business for themselves. For some black business people, personal services were the clearest path to success, and sometimes wealth.
They recognized that their ability to have a particular kind of skill set, which was something that the white population needed, allowed them a certain kind of mobility and freedom.
Many of them were able to cash in on expectations that they were replicating their servant roles where whites were in power and African Americans were serving them. For example, a number of black barbers continued to keep their exclusively white clientele after the war.
All these barbers spent that time in the barbershop, nurturing these relationships with white men, and used that money from the barbershop to help fund and to help fuel a black economic movement within their own communities.
See, I ain't gonna sit up there and let you tell me about my people, but like my people ain't do what we supposed to be doing. It's y'all little snake in the grass ass people. We've been doing this and we still doing it. That's why y'all over here on my amazing podcast mad right now, because I'm over here doing it.
From barbershops to grocery stores, black businesses relied on the Freedmen's Bank. But a decade after it was founded, bank president Henry Cook was running the Freedmen's Bank into the ground.
Look at that.
Here was
Look at
Cook
that.
saying, look at all this money. They're putting their money in my bank, and whenever I need it, I'm going to reach in and get it.
Look, dirty, scoundrelous YT folks, little dirty, scoundrelous snow roaches, little dirty, scoundrelous 11 by 8.5s, little dirty, scoundrelous albino cave monkeys. Look what they did.
Henry Cook starts looting the bank. He just starts taking this money and lending it or giving it to some friends and acquaintances, just putting the capital into railroad bonds, which was the subprime market of the day.
So who actually built the railroad? Where the money for the railroad come from? Black people. Huh?
With the Freedmen's Bank on the verge of collapse, the federal government turned to the best-known African-American leader in the country to salvage it.
Congress brought in Frederick Douglass to serve as the new president.
And who always they go get to save some shit? Who they go get to save it? We done messed it up. Who can we get to save it? The black man. Come bring him in on the tail end of they mess up so now that they can point the finger at him. That's what y'all do. That's what y'all do.
Of the Freedmen's Bank. Initially, he invested $10,000 of his own money as a way to shore up the bank, as well as to encourage other African Americans to continue to deposit their money into the bank.
No, I ain't talking about my albinos, because I done seen some fine albino sisters, okay? Roaches are usually brown, so if I refer to them as roaches, then they're albino snow roaches, just for the clarification, okay? Not talking about my albino sisters, you know what I'm saying? Holla at me, boo. All right, now, I see you. Hey. All right, now.
But the bank was beyond saving. So Douglass had to go to Congress and say that the bank was bankrupt and it needed to close.
The fact is, I was married to a corpse. I found that I had been placed there with the hope that by some drugs or some mighty magic, I would bring it back. But the life, which was the money, was gone.
So they done stole all the money. Now tell the black man, hey, you could be the president of the bank we screwed over your people with and took all y'all money fresh out of slavery when y'all was trying to build up and get y'all thing together so we can get a head start. Now you got dweebs over here in the chat with nothing better to do when they should be going out and enjoying their privilege and shit. The dweebs in my chat, y'all, is the ones that got left behind. That's why they over here in the chat. Because other white people, they got other things to do. They out doing white people shit. Snowboarding, hang gliding, hot air ballooning, white water rafting. You know what I'm saying? Mountain biking up the side of a damn mountain. They're doing real white people shit. We got dweebs in the chat. These the ones that didn't quite make it. They miss the white train. And so they mad, so they want to come over here to the chat and try to take it out on us. I ain't the ones you need to be mad at, fam. You know what you really need to do? You need to go fix that relationship with your mom, fam. It's your mother, fam. It's your mother. It's probably your dad, too. I know he used to beat the crap out of you and put his cigarettes out on you and all of that on some Freddy Krueger shit. But it's really your mom. It's really your mom that didn't whoop your ass when you needed a whooping. Remember that first time you acted out in the store? You were supposed to get your ass whooped. And see, maybe you will have a little bit of sense about life. See? So you sitting around people who got their ass whooped if they would have acted up in the store. You fell out, kicking, screaming. F you, mom! F you, mom! See? These is the people in the chat right now with the them ones. Them is the ones that got left behind. We dealing with the reject YT people. And don't come bringing y'all little lowbrow ass over here to my chat. Dang, why can we get we can't get no respectable white people because they out doing white people shit. Yep. They out right now playing cornhole, exploring some underwater cave. Sitting up in a little tent in the woods, deer hunting. Got the ski doos out on the lake right now. But y'all over here in the chat. That's how I can tell. It skipped y'all. Y'all don't get to enjoy the fruits of your whiteness. And you mad about that, son. Damn. You mad. You mad. You mad because the ship of whiteness done sail past your ass. And you mad. You just mad, fam. Anime, what up? How you feeling? Luke say like this live. Am I giving him the business, Luke, real quick? Now look here. If you know me, you know me. I don't be just talking, you know what I'm saying? We talking about one group of individuals, the dweebs in the comments. If you rock with the Keep Pete podcast, I rock with you too, baby. That's all love. Because I know we global. Keep Pete podcast is a global show. Now I know that. Now we all around the world. UK be coming in here doing little roll calls with us and all that. But I just want y'all to know about this why he talking.
The hard-earned savings of the freedmen were lost just in the markets, just poof. And nobody gets prosecuted. This was white-collar crime, actual just crime. It was theft, and nobody goes to prison for it.
Not even 10 additional years of slavery could have done so much to throttle the thrift of the freedmen as the mismanagement and bankruptcy of the series of savings banks chartered by the nation for their special aid.
We talking about banks all across the country, y'all. This ain't just one bank in one city. This ain't one bank in one city. They set up branches all around the country where the Negroes was at to siphon their money that they was getting right out of slavery. Come on, man. Don't let these folks sit up here and tell you like they ain't lied, cheat, and stole everything they got. And what they really mad is because they did all of this, and guess where we at right now? Still right here putting BTA, belt to ass.
From 1865 to 1874, about 70,000 people deposited the equivalent of $1.3 billion in modern day numbers.
$1.3 billion? Are you serious? That's sad, man. That's really sad, man. Y'all, you got to kind of wonder, man, what's this all about, man? What's the ultimate goal? What's the ultimate test, man? We got to go through. Look at all of you telling me they didn't took 1 point. You talking about the people that was slaves had 1.8 billion?
70,000 people deposited the equivalent of $1.3 billion in modern day numbers. So African Americans enthusiastically embraced the Freedmen's Bank. It was a deep loss for African Americans and a loss of a vast amount of Black wealth.
Soon after the collapse of the bank, the federal government withdrew from the South, returning control of the region to former slave owners.
Got all them folks for their money and rolled out.
The dream of full citizenship for African Americans came to a screeching halt.
We see the end of efforts to educate formerly enslaved people. We see the end of the protection of the right to vote. And what is allowed to happen is a series of legislative and extra-legal attempts to suppress African American freedom.
Any land that was able to be secured is also violently retaken. And so what you see is a reassertion of that racial hierarchy in the South that had the white landowners at the top and Black labor at the bottom.
And still we rise. So don't let these little coons like Officer Tatum sit up here and talk this trash.
Now you're talking about, I'm perceiving the slaves that are on the plantation that were not able to work. They not like Harriet Tubman, who was married and she worked and she was married and her husband was a free Black man. I'm not talking about Harriet Tubman. I'm talking about other slaves.
You can't separate them. They all the same. What are you talking about? This dude is idiot.
Who were in slavery, who had no possessions of property. They were not allowed
Trina,
to work.
what up?
They didn't work in the house. They weren't able to purchase their freedom. None of that. I'm talking about those people. I'm not talking about people who were house slaves, people who were servants in slavery, people like Harriet Tubman towards the end of her life, where she actually lived with her husband, who was a free Black man and able to work. Some of her family members were free. And so I'm not talking about those particular slaves. So when you look at those particular slaves, some of which who were Blacks who owned slaves, like I'm not considering those people. I'm considering the people who had no opportunity to work, therefore they had nothing to build or take away from.
So that I can be abundantly clear, I believe you're just demonstrating internalized racism, because when I said I'm going to tell you. I asked you twice, can you be very clear? Are you saying this? And twice you said yes. And then when I gave you contrary information, you widened it. I'm not
I
considering
widened it
those kind
because
of
I widened it
slaves.
because I believe that the conversation needs to be deeper than the surface level. Did they gain money or not? Because
Okay.
there's different there's different phases, there's different people that were in different phases of slavery. Slavery was not all one thing.
What?
There were people who were slaves who worked. There were people who were slaves who were given the opportunity to purchase their freedom. There were people who were black who were once slaves who then were free and then owned slaves. We can have a broader discussion about slavery. I'm saying the ones who did not have an opportunity whatsoever, that didn't even have a chance at having any possessions, could not have possessions taken away from them. If you want to go through black people in general, we have to then talk about black people who own slaves. We have to then talk about the first legal slave owner in American history, which was Anthony Johnson. We have to talk about all the black people who purchased their freedom and who also purchased other people's freedom in slavery. Those who never was a slave in the field. Those who always, in slavery had a different perception or a different position in slavery. So it's a dynamic discussion. Our premise was people who had absolutely no opportunity whatsoever should not be evaluated as the same as those who had an opportunity. So the conversation was post-slavery. Focusing on after slavery was abolished, where do we go from here?
Respectfully, I don't see a point in talking about the details because you keep moving it instead of.
I'm not moving it. You want to broaden up the conversation. You
broaden up the nigga because you're talking about shit we ain't talking about.
You said yes twice, and then I said, "But what about this?" And then you moved it.
And then I realized you want to broaden it. You want to broaden the conversation,
Okay.
so I broadened the conversation.
Fair. Due to time, can I ask you two more quick questions?
Okay.
One of them: are you familiar with the phrase "moral disengagement"?
Moral disengagement, no.
So would you acknowledge, regardless of whatever opinions you hold, you're allowed to hold whatever opinions you want, would you acknowledge that some of the messages that you present cause harm to people?
Good question.
Yeah, no, we got to be more detailed. You saying emotional harm? You saying physical harm? Are you saying people are harmed unjustifiably? They consider to be harmed by what I say? So
I'm saying that your
people
opinion can be
people.
your opinion.
I have no intent to harm people by what I say.
One second.
I have no intent. And people should not be harmed by what I say.
I don't want to be overtalked, and I don't want to have to put you on mute. I think some of the stuff you communicate on the platforms you do causes harm to people.
In what way?
Emotional harm causes them trauma and stress to hear your message.
Okay, that's a personal thing. That has nothing to do with what I'm presenting in my the way I intend to deliver it. It's not my fault that somebody's receiving personal harm in their own perspective because they don't like me saying that a black person was wrong. They feel harmed because I interview somebody.
Because you'll never say
that's not it. No.
You don't never say no. The thing is, you'll never say white people was wrong about nothing. Matter of fact, that's your problem. That you look for black people to be wrong when they ain't even wrong. You make black people wrong. You know it's raining out there in South Carolina. Well, you know if black people had fathers, it wouldn't be no rain in South Carolina. Like, nigga, what? Yeah, I just stubbed my toe on the end of my bedpost. Well, if it wasn't so many single mothers, your toe wouldn't have been stuck. Like, shut up, dude. What are you talking about, man?
Let me ask you a more specific question. If I presented you with evidence of a human being whose life has been harmed by the messages that you've put out,
right?
Would you change or would you do anything different on how you're putting messages out?
Well, it depends because there's no intent for me to harm anybody. You give me a specific example, meaning that if somebody legitimately came to me and said, "Hey, man, when you said this,
I get paid.
It really hurt me and it was materialized." I may consider, depending on what I said, I can't not tell the truth because it hurts you. But if it's something I said, I can rephrase it and it actually caused some harm to somebody and they brought it to my attention, I'm open to that. But for somebody getting upset because they don't like that I criticize people who are having poor behavior because they are black.
You don't never criticize people who have poor behavior who's white. So yeah, we got a problem with it because you ain't consistent, bruh. You lopsided. You're one-sided. And it's blatant. So obviously what he's saying to y'all is, hey, I get paid for cooning, and that's just what I'm gonna do. And if you don't like it, you know, and I get it, bro. You know, the thing about it is that he gotta look at himself in the mirror. I don't gotta wake up and be that nigga. And he don't represent me.
That's not my fault that people are emotional. And the same thing is some of the things you said. I don't think it's your fault that you said something that hurt my feelings. That's irrelevant. Like, is your intent to hurt my feelings? No. I just have to be a grown man and say, I don't like what you said about me. Let's have a conversation. But my intent with my content is just to tell the truth. If people's feelings are hurt because they don't like the truth, then I'm okay with that. And I know we got to run because I got to do a filming here.
I just have literally 1 more minute, one more question, and it's about Teslin Figaro. When you are debating and having conversation about issues related specifically to the Nolan Wells case, I've noticed that she has been requesting an interview multiple times. Are you Teslin Figaro?
I don't know.
Are you willing to sit down with her?
I don't know who that is.
If I connect the two of you, would you be willing to have a conversation with Teslin?
I have a conversation with anybody. It just depends. I got to know who this person is.
She is an attorney. She is working with in the Nolan Wells case.
Is she the lady in the comment section?
I don't know if she's a lady in comment
that you responded
section.
to.
I think
she said something like, "I don't know why Brandon won't debate me." Is that her?
I think her name is Teslin Figaro.
Is that who you're talking about? You responded to her in the comments. She said, "I don't know why Tatum won't debate me." No, she said, "I don't know why Tatum won't debate me or something, but he debates you." And you said you're gonna answer the question. Is that she's a black lady?
She is a black lady, correct? Would you be willing to
I think we're talking about the same person. I know who she is. I just didn't know her name. But it depends, man. She's super ghetto and disrespectful.
No. She's not super ghetto nor disrespectful.
I've been on an interview with her.
I understand that. She's super educated.
She's not very respectful. She talks crazy. I may still consider talking to her, but I just want to put it out there. She was wondering why I didn't debate her or nothing. Some people are not acting in good faith. And I don't want to get into an argument with somebody.
Did he say people are not talking in good faith? If not talking in good faith was a poster child? That's you, bro. Oh, okay. So it's people who talking it. He don't like talking with people with facts. That's what it is. He don't like talking with people with facts. Okay. He's exposed. I get it.
And they cussing and acting a fool. I feel like you've been respectful, although I disagree with you.
And they cussing and acting a fool. This hypocrite. Hold on. This hypocrite.
You've been respectful in your commentary towards me, although I disagree with it. You haven't called me out of my name and you cursing and acting up. And so that's why I was willing to talk to you. But other people that are cussing and trying to get a gotcha moment, I'm not really interested. You know, like people got to realize I have 8 million people that follow me. I have an incredible platform. I don't really gain anything by going on other people's platforms. I just respect you enough to say I would like to have a conversation. And
well,
the young lady
I just want to go.
That talk crazy about me every day. I don't know. I got to consider if I would talk to her because I don't know if it would be productive.
Okay, I gotta let you go, but I will gonna go on the record and say I think you should sit down and have a conversation with Teslin because she is just as informed and connected to this case and has interviewed just as many people as you have, and I think that's an important thing. So, Mr. Tatum, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Dude, that right there, dude. That was really tough.
Whew. All right, guys. Man, I don't know what I think so far of the interview. Helen, can you remove him out of StreamYard? I don't know what I think of the interview. I'll have to take some time to think about it. What I can tell you is I think every single term that I brought up, naive realism, internalized racism, I think all of those terms are accurate. Moral disengagement. Moral disengagement is if I know the things I'm saying are causing people harm, I'm going to, and I want to consider myself a good person, as all of us do. I'm going to selectively choose what things I attend to, what things I don't. And he is doing all of the things. And I wanted to have this conversation, quite honestly, for that reason. I am a mental health professional. It's what I do. I've been listening to Mr. Tatum this whole time, and I've been hearing it through a clinical lens. And I can see not just the grift, but I can see how he's doing it. So what was important to me to do today was to have a conversation where you could see what he's doing in real time. You saw him move. I was very intentional about every single word I said. I was very intentional about letting him talk when he spoke, but you watch him, he clearly does not know how to digest research. You don't just take two contrarian pieces of research and say, oh, these two things disagree, then all I have to go into my lived experience. That is not true. You have to weight the quality of that research, and all of us clinicians and people who consume research consistently, we all know that this is how we do that. The other thing that was interesting, did you guys notice this is how internal racism looks? And it was important to me to clinically be able to point this out. But this is how you see it happen. Did you notice that I asked him specifically about a very highly educated, a very highly qualified Black woman who is very well connected to the Nolan Wells case and works very closely with attorney Benjamin Crump, who has overtly called him out and said, I want to debate you. The first thing he did, in my opinion, was he lied. He was disingenuous. Who is that? Teslin Figaro is a very well-known person.
They had been on
She
panels.
delivers
They was
news
just on a panel.
CNN, Fox
They was
News,
just on a panel together. He know exactly who she is when you first said it.
in the Breakfast Club very consistently. We know that he knows who she is. He has interacted with her several times, and she has called him out publicly several times. So he is asking us to believe that he has noticed Elliott Connie and his content and knows my name and knows me well enough to interact with me, but he doesn't know hers. And he doesn't know who this person is. Then he says disrespectful, rude things to her. Oh, you mean that super ghetto person? And he says, I'm not willing to engage with them because they talked about me in this way. This is how the grift works. He just moves his position very, very consistently. And I will close by saying this. One of the most accurate phrases, that's why I spent the most time talking about it. And the conversation, to a large degree, went exactly how I expected it to go. I did not expect him in any way to say, oh, wow, Elliot, you're making a great point. I acknowledge that point you made.
Right.
But I wanted to do this interview so that you guys could see psychologically what is happening here. And the most important phrase that I think fits is what I refer to as naive realism, which basically means I believe my subjective experience represents the true experience, and people who hold that position are people who refer to themselves and who are next to authoritarianism. And you can see that he does that. That's why he wants to go by Officer Tatum when that's a job he no longer holds. Authoritarianism matters.
Good catch.
When it's connected to his identity. And all of you need to acknowledge that if he does say to me, Elliot, oh, there is racial bias in policing, then a lot of his platform crumbles.
Right.
And then lastly, he's getting social rewards, and social rewards are things like attention and money for having these positions.
Yep.
When you are in that position, your brain experiences contrarian information to your beliefs as an existential threat.
Right.
And it responds to that existential threat by doing what we call identity protective cognition, which your brain says, I can't accept that threat because my entire psyche would suffer. So I have to protect my cognitive identity. And by the way, all of you think like he is lying and he's doing this, like, he's aware. Existential threat defense, identity cognitive protection, that happens on a subconscious level. So he is very much not lying. He actually believes that he is being objective. He actually believes that he's doing these things. He is absolutely not aware that these things are happening. So thank you guys so much for being here. It was really important to try to have this conversation. I hope I did you guys justice, and I hope that I was able to highlight the psychological components to this conversation in a way that was useful to y'all.
That was
I
very
love
good.
y'all, man. Thank you for being here. Please do not forget to like this video.
Yeah, y'all go subscribe to Elliott Connie on Facebook or YouTube, wherever he is. That was a great breakdown. He really brought out he brought out that punk. And I knew he had a method to his madness. He probably got way more patience than I do, because I would have been pressing cuz. I wouldn't have let him dance all around that shit. But see, now I learned something from that interview. Sometimes, man, you just got to let him talk. Sometimes you just got to let him talk. Because in all that talking, he did expose a lot about, you know, how ingrained his self-hate and his projection is. Yeah, I think that was a really good one, y'all. That was a good one. I'm glad that I did that one. Because sometimes you got to learn something. I definitely learned. Sometimes you got to let them folks talk, man. Yep. And he gave him the rope-a-dope. Really, if you look at it now in hindsight, he gave him the rope-a-dope, okie doke, country dumb. Because I was kind of getting a little frustrated, you know, with how he was being dominated in the conversation. But now I see that was a tactic of a very smart individual. A tactic, and now looking back at it, it started to embolden Tatum when he used some of his usual tactics, and they worked so well, like the two hands up with the stop and the interjecting that he would do. Soon as you ask him a question, you start to answer, he want to interject it and move it somewhere else. He started to get comfortable, and he also started to get sloppy. That was actually amazing. His name is Elliott Connie. Yeah, on some intellectual. I rock with cuz. Prince, that's what's up. Thank you, bros. Yeah, so yeah, this was a think piece that, again, you know, wouldn't be possible without Elliott Connie. He bust him down. And sometimes, you know, you got to hear how the other side thinks. You do have to know thy enemy, you know? You do. So listen, I'm finna come right on back, because it's still cracky. So let me go ahead and leave about all the new people. If this is your first time here, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications so that you could be. So, that's who said that? Trina, you ain't getting no. You got all the notifications on, and that's messed up. That's how YouTube be doing me too. They don't be sending out the notifications to all my subscribers, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the Discord is going to be coming. And then this next episode, we're going to have to get somebody, get y'all, if y'all want to come up on the stage, I'm going to put the link to the stage in the chat, and I'm going to let y'all come on and get on up here and talk about it. I'm going to let you sound off. Let me see what you're talking about. You know what I'm talking about? And y'all know me, I ain't going to hold you, but I'm going to mold you, fold you, and scold you about being on code. And you know I got 4 words for you. I need you to go ahead and subscribe for the vibes, like for the spike in the algorithm. If you got a little chance, go back on one of them old episodes, or this one if you like it, and hype it, you know, so we can get some of this real content in the hype. You already comment and you vomit. Just share if you care about getting Black empowerment everywhere. Please do that on the platforms that we are on. Jones. Hey, I'm glad you found me too, Survive. That's what's up. Hey, next time, Survive, when you come back, promise me this, though. I know you came in on the portrait, right? And this for all y'all real quick, since y'all still here. I know you came in on the portrait, right? So that means you got the picture above and you got the chat below. We got 2 lives running. So we also got the landscape. So if you click on the channel, and usually it's the one with the least amount of views because they push the, portrait one more, but you can see the landscape where you can see the picture real big and then the chat real big too, because there's 3 chats for all the channels. Shout out to Jay Lava. Shout out to Keep It P Podcast. Shout out to Keep It P Podcast Raw. I appreciate your support on all channels. Shout out to my mods. Oh yeah. Shout out to my members. Y'all, I would encourage y'all to become members too, so we can go ahead and do these closed off segments. I'm just waiting till I get to this certain number. I mean, really just started a month. So I appreciate everybody that's been stomped down, rolling, and on the look outside of the game. But I encourage you to become members, support the channel. Everybody that sent gifts and all that. I appreciate that too. But yeah, if you go to the landscape, then you can see me real big, and then you can see the picture real big, right? Because I be playing with the scenery, because I know some people watch it on TV, right? And so, you might want to fill out the screen or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? You might want to fill out the screen a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Just different feel. But everybody comes in on the portrait side. So I already know that, but that's why I do both streams, so we can grow the audience and grow the channel and get the family real big up in here. And you dig. So I'm finna come right on back. Let me see. Well, I'm gonna tell you what time. It's 7:00 right now. I'm gonna be back by 7:30. Love, peace, blessings, and aloha.